Hello survivors and welcome to another Walking Dead Road to Survival video, and in this video I'm going to be going over part 2 effectively of the missions for sunflower tokens. I have already gone over part 1 already. You can check that out on my channel, going over the first 2 sets of missions. There are 4 sets total. We're going over sets 3 and 4 in this video, just breaking down what each mission requires you to do to get your sunflower tokens and get some extra pulls on the stash. So the missions I'm talking about, of course, are the Brain Blast trivia missions, and as you can see I'm on a secondary region here, so I haven't had any progress. This is the first set of missions. I did go over this in a previous video, and this is a second set of missions. Again, I went over that in that previous video. If you need to still do these missions and find out what they are, the information is in that video. I just show you what you have to do, not just talk about it, I actually show you what you have to do to make it nice and easy. Now we're going to move on to Master Missions 3 and all of the required ones to complete it, as well as Master Missions 4 and all of the ones to complete those. There are 4 missions in each of set 3 and 4, so a little bit more overall, but it isn't going to be too crazy. We'll get into each individual mission here. You can see the first one is called Rescued and Redeemed. This is pretty straightforward. You have to collect survivors from world map, from road map, so on and so forth. The survivors you currently have don't count. You have to actually acquire them into your actual overall total. So make sure you use all the ones you have right now, train all the characters you can, and then get new survivors in. 1,000 seems like a lot, but some of the end road maps can give 100 plus, so it won't be, too crazy on running these road maps. The next one is Overcoming the Odds, and this is pretty straightforward. I think a lot of you will be progressing through this quite easily already, and it is taking down walkers. The reason why you'll be progressing through this quite easily is this game is called The Walking Dead. They're everywhere. They're on road maps, they're on world map, they're on everything. I may even count in SR and War and so on and so forth. I'm not sure. You'll probably find out, but you probably will complete this before it gets to SR or War anyway, just because 1,000 isn't crazy. You get between 10 to 20 every wave, and there are 3 to 5 waves on most stages, and there's like 3 to 10 stages on most road maps, so on and so forth. So it just goes very, very quickly. Quite an easy one. The next one is called Navigating Success. In this one you have to complete road map stages. It is only 300. You have to do it in a week. There is a lot of weekly roadmap stages in terms of the daily roadmaps. Also, the event roadmaps that are going on right now for the gold mythic tokens, and also part of this sunflower event. So obviously you're going to be able to progress through this pretty easily. You can just burn through it if you want to. There are stages that only cost 1 energy that are story roadmaps. So when they're available, you can just burn through it if you so wish. You can even flee apparently, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend that. You might as well just complete the roadmaps that you need to complete. Not that world energy is hard to come by, but unless you're desperate, just do it normally. I think you should be absolutely fine. Now the last mission as part of this subset of missions is Gold Gilded Glory, and it is using gold gear medals. Unfortunately, you have to use 600, so you do have to do the last tier on 2 characters. This is not going to be easy for a lot of people, just because 600 gold gear medals, A, is hard, and then B, some people may not even have, certain characters to tier up. Now, I will say the only good thing about this mission coming in is it is coming in right when the mythic market resets, so you should be getting your hands on potentially some new characters that would be worth actually maxing out. And if you do fully max them out with the gold gear medals, you are going to be able to complete this mission. This mission is already live, so the second that actually goes through, you're going to be absolutely fine there. Once you complete all these submissions for set 3, you'll be able to get the extra sunflowers themselves, the daisies should I say, to be able to run the roadmap, but also you'll get yourself an extra 2 pulls on that stash just to hopefully get something decent. So now we move on to Master Mission 4. This is set 4 of the missions, and obviously once you complete this, this is the entire missions done. This might not be the hardest ones to complete. Some of the other ones might take a bit longer, but I will say one of these, you do have to probably wait a couple of days to be able to complete these like easily. We'll move on to the first one. It's called Recruit to Triumph. Use faction supporters apparently, and it's pretty much as easy as that. As you're going to be running the roadmaps anyway, you can just add a faction supporter, You only need to do that 10 times. It's one of the easiest missions. Effectively, it's only going to take you 10 stages to do. You could do on the world maps while you're doing some of the earlier missions when it requires you to use certain items from your workshop. The next one is called Champions Playbook. And this one is pretty simple. You have to do 175 stages in Survival Road. Now, apparently, attacking the daily SR and fleeing does not count. You actually have to complete the SR stages. Now, you could potentially just get a little bit of a head start by doing your daily SR. But when actual proper SR starts up, generally speaking, that is going to be 175 stages. So as long as you complete Legendary, you should have it all completed. Now, if you are struggling for whatever reason to complete Legendary, because maybe you're a newer player to the game or you don't have a built-out roster, doing the daily SR would be recommended for sure. The next mission is called Crushing Opposition, and this is taking down alert enemies, and this should work in pretty much every part of the game that you see an alert enemy, except for maybe towers in War, maybe even War itself, but by the time War starts, you should have probably taken down 50 alert enemies. It'll work in road maps, it'll work in world maps, and it should work in raids as well. So this should be very easy progression. There are some world maps in the very early stages that cost 3 energy that have only alert characters on it. You can easily see what traits are on a world map by seeing this stats on the actual stage itself. If it just has the alert marker, that means that it's only going to be alert enemies. If you can find one with just humans, that potentially means you'd only have to spend like 6 energy to get this completed. And you could also do some of those previous missions that I talked about as well at the same time. Nice and easy there. Not too difficult to get this one done. Now, the last mission is called Battleground Brilliance. And for this mission, you are required to win 50 raids, but with everybody alive at the end of the fight. It doesn't matter if they get taken down during the fight, as long as they get revived. You know, for instance, if you have the Zachary, he'll be able to revive characters quite easily. Otherwise, you are not going to get progression at this. If you just win a raid but have teammates taken out, it is not going to count. Make sure you are winning these with everybody alive, and you should get slow but sure progression. There will be a raid tournament in these 7 days, just like the SR tournament will happen in the 7 days as well. So you can push the progression during that. But in the meantime, it's probably worth using natural energy just because this is higher than max milestone, I do believe. I'm not 100% sure. I think it's like 35 for max milestone, although they have actually increased it to 16k points required. So it might actually be fine, but you'd obviously have to win every single raid with everybody alive, and that might not necessarily be something that you can do on a regular basis. So if you do struggle in raids, getting that early energy out could be a way to go. And if you drop your team where your actual defense team is a little bit weaker, generally speaking, if you do get matched up against bots, they are going to be weaker too, so it should be quite quick to get through that way, especially during a raid tournament once it starts. And that'll be it for Master Mission 4, and again, you'll finish off by getting those 2 sunflower tokens right there. You'll also get the daisies to progress in the roadmap. If you haven't already been progressing, the roadmap is up for the same amount of time, as you can see, 7 days. And you'll be able to progress all the way through, getting yourself sunflower tokens as you go, and getting yourself a reasonable amount of pulls on the stash overall by the looks of things. Obviously, you can't fail any stages, otherwise I think you're done, because you only get given enough of these daisies to complete all the stages. And you do have certain requirements when it comes to characters. That is something to note. You will get progressive in the actual main New Year's event as well, which is a nice little touch, but overall, this should be pretty decent in terms of getting some stuff for the stash. If I just jump across to the stash right now, we can see the characters in there are not too bad if you haven't got them from the previous events. But also, you are going to get progression again for the current event. That could potentially be, your choice of actual select Paragon mods, or maybe a version of Mirabelle there if you get all 4. And then we can just scroll down. You can see the actual stuff in here isn't too bad. Everything is decent. And you should be able to complete quite a lot of this as a free-to-play, which is nice. If you do want to complete all of it, you will get the selection between Akira's Soulbound, Akira's Soulfire Katana, and the Guarding Valentine's Day Axe. I would say if you don't have either of these weapons, the weapon for me to pick would be the Akira's Soulfire Katana. It is a very nice weapon indeed. Impenetrable defense for one, obviously absolute defense effectively, but also the improved strong defenses is a big thumbs up for me. This was part of the event that had Omid in it, so if you missed it in that event, you can pick it up now. So that's it, just going over sets 3 and 4 of the missions, guys. Best of luck completing those. Best of luck in the stash pools. Hopefully you get what you want. I want to thank you very much for tuning in. And as always, keep on surviving, guys. Keep on surviving.